Hi, Chris here. I'm the Arkansas herbalist. I am a retired RN and I have certifications as a master herbalist educator and also certification as a holistic health practitioner. And what I'm going to talk about today isn't herbs, but it's nutrition because it is so important that when a person becomes ill or something like that, that they have the proper building blocks to be able to heal. And the only way that you can really do that is through nutrition. It can't be done through a pill. A lot of people think of taking herbs the same way that they take pharmaceuticals. That stuff wasn't meant to be taken over a long period of time. Um, but what you do put in your mouth, which is food, that's what can help you. I had a question by someone the other day that was talking about sugar, and they were wanting to cut back on their sugar and they were having a hard time. And of course, it's really hard because sugar is a true addiction. I mean, it goes in and it lights up the morphine receptors of the brain. And so it's just very, very hard. And then when you have things that complicate it, like um, yeast, which is a big problem in the body these days, probably the best way to do it is just go cold turkey, and you have intense cravings for about 3 or 4 days, and then that drops off significantly, and then your appetite drops too as well. But there are things that can kind of complicate the craving issues, like if you have an overgrowth of yeast, things of that nature. It makes it hard because you're craving it. I mean, like I said, it's a real addiction. But one thing I failed to mention, I mean, a lot of people, when you talk sugar to them, they're thinking refined sugar. They're thinking sweets and candies and cakes and cookies and all that good stuff. Donuts. Since it's morning, everybody's thinking donuts. But what people really overlook is bread. They overlook wheat, and um, when you break food down, you're breaking it into fats and proteins and carbs, and you're thinking, yeah, sugar's a carb, bread's a carb, some vegetables are carbs. um, but what the problem with today is that wheat has become something other than what we think it is, and it's worse than refined sugar, in my opinion. I read a book years and years ago called Wheat Belly, which is by William Davis, MD. And I thought I had a hard copy of this, but I don't. I have it on my Kindle, and I don't know if you can see it with the glare. And I think it shows in reverse on camera. Written by William Davis, MD. It was just a real eye opener as to what flour is. Flour is this refined sugar. And it's not what grandma used to cook with 50 years ago. It's changed because they've changed or genetically modified the wheat. They've made it so that they can increase their yield. They can make it drought tolerant. They can change its height. So like when weather comes through, it doesn't get knocked over. So they literally change the height of the wheat. But enzyme wise, it's different. It's not the same. You can say, well, maybe I'll just eat wheat bread instead, which is a coarser grind. But it really doesn't matter how fine you grind it, because it's been genetically modified and it doesn't really act the same in your body. And then of course, they grind it so like it's literally like a fine talcum powder. If you open your bag of flour, and just feel it with your hands. You can feel how fine that is. And You add water and it becomes a glue. A lot of people have allergies to gluten, and it goes in and it becomes sticky and it kind of sticks to the inside. A lot of it, with the particles being so fine, I mean, it literally just passes right through into the intestines, and spikes your blood sugar. And next week, I'm hoping to have Mike Beckham next, who is a diabetic, but has been working on what's called glycemic index, which is foods that spike your blood sugar instantly when you consume them and start digesting them. He's brought his A1C down significantly just working with uh, lower glycemic index foods. But wheat is high. It's incredibly high. And this William Davis talks about how, I mean, even whole wheat breads can increase the glucose in your body, your blood sugar, higher than sucrose. Sucrose is table sugar. So we need to start looking, when we're trying to cut back on our sugar, trying to improve our diets. We need to start looking at wheat as being even worse than table sugar. And wheat has become so much a part of our diets. I mean, all of the sweet stuff I listed, but I mean, all the breads and stuff like that. I mean, we're so used to eating sandwiches and burgers and pizzas, and all this has wheat in it, of course, in the bread part of the crust. Um, Pastas, it's in our pastas as well. And a couple of brands. I thought I'm not getting paid for talking about these brands, but Ezekiel bread, that's one product that has a slower time going into your body. It's been sprouted. That's a good brand, even though you have to get used to the texture. You have to um, understand that you're not going to get that when you switch over to better foods. But I think it has a very good flavor, nutty flavor. Their breads, they are maybe what, a third more expensive than usual bread. They're up and over like $5 a loaf. Walmart does sell those products. They make breads and English muffins and stuff like that. Cinnamon bread, and they have different products. You'll see they're in the frozen section. They don't have any preservatives, so they have to keep it frozen. And when you bring it home, you have to keep it in the fridge. Also another brand, Dreamfield pasta, that is a good pasta for diabetics. It has a slower time of getting into your system, and they, make spaghetti and lasagna noodles and elbow macaroni and stuff like that. And I've used Dreamfields for years. When I make pasta, I don't eat that much pasta. My problem is really the bread. I like my toast with my egg and um, sandwiches and things of that nature. So anyway, I just thought I would give you a heads up. I will put a link below on this book if you're interested in reading it. But truly, if you are trying to cut back on your sugar, um, put wheat at the top of the list.